All right, well, I'm making this video because it's something that a lot of people struggle with, and that something is very simply writing. Writing is something that I've been doing for a long time, and it's something that comes very easy to me. And I've been trying to figure out a way to teach people how to write in a way that doesn't stress them out, in a way that doesn't make them feel worried. For me, writing is something that I've practiced ever since high school. And it's something that I've taught in my 18 years of teaching English. And the best way for me to describe it being easy is that whenever I'm given something to write about, I visualize and I categorize and I put a number on all the different things that I'm going to talk about inside my writing. And I think that's why it's easy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some different strategies that you can use that's going to help you in your writing. There's a number of people that could use this video. The people that might have a writing proficiency exam that they have to take prior to going to college, or maybe people in junior high or high school that have an essay that they need to do, or maybe even for those people that are taking a teacher preparation test, and that test requires that you do some writing. If you practice these strategies over and over again, I guarantee you that it's going to make your writing a lot easier. The type of writing that I'm going to have you practice is very simply the 5-paragraph essay. And there's many different components. The 5 different components are the introduction, body paragraph number 1, body paragraph number 2, body paragraph number 3, and a conclusion. So I want you to think about those numbers, 5 paragraphs, and each paragraph has their own different style, and I'm going to discuss those styles with you one by one. Body paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 all have the same sort of organizational pattern, and it's something that I'm going to introduce to you called the 8-sentence paragraph. When you're in elementary school in Los Angeles especially, students are taught that a paragraph has 5 sentences. I don't know where that comes from, and that's fine for elementary school, but in the case of writing for junior high and high school, I want you to think about at least 8 sentences. You can have more, but I want you to memorize these 8 sentences and just master the pattern of those body paragraphs using the 8-sentence paragraph diagram, and it'll be a lot easier for you going on into the future. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the first thing of a 5-paragraph essay, and that is the introduction. The introduction for me is probably the hardest thing to teach, but it is one of the most important things. For me, the most important part of your 5-paragraph essay is the introduction, and then finally the conclusion. The introduction, you're basically letting people know what you're going to talk about, and the conclusion at the end of the essay is where you make the strongest argument for whatever you've been discussing. So what I'd like you to do is to imagine your introduction as a funnel. A funnel has a large opening, and then it all boils down to one fine point, and that fine point is going to be your thesis statement. What is a thesis statement? A thesis statement is that one sentence that lets people know what your whole essay is going to be about. And so that's why the introduction is important. You want to set up basically what you're going to be talking about and get to that fine point, which is your thesis statement. Now, when I say you want to start sort of with a broad topic in the beginning, some people call this a hook, whatever you want to call it. It's basically an introduction to whatever you're going to be talking about. Let's say you're going to be talking about pollution. So you want to start off talking about it big, like, man, this world is messed up. We have all these problems in the world. We have homelessness, we have crime, we have broken marriages, and then we also have trash in our streets, trash in our air, and it's making it difficult to breathe, to live a comfortable life. There's so much pollution, there's so much garbage floating in the waters. If we don't do something about pollution, then this world is going to be a big giant trash can. Boom. You see how I did that? I started talking about a big subject and I slowly boiled it down to the one point, which is going to be the thesis statement. So I'm going to be talking about how if we don't do something about pollution, then the world is going to be a messed up place. And then from that thesis statement, I break down my body paragraphs into 3 specific things that I'm going to talk about in relation to pollution. You with me? Okay, let's look at some examples. The 8-sentence paragraph. I've been doing the 8-sentence paragraph in my classes since 2005. An 8-sentence paragraph is basically the best way to organize your paragraph. It has very specific parts and 8 sentences. Please make sure it's exactly 8 sentences. It might sound strange, it might sound robotic, it might sound like something that you're not used to, but if you master the 8-sentence paragraph style first, then later on you can experiment, you can get fancy, you can add more. But in the beginning, if you're not sure about writing, practice the 8-sentence paragraph style and it will make your writing stronger. The 8-sentence paragraph has exactly 8 sentences. Sentence number 1 is your topic sentence. Question for you, what's the difference between a topic sentence and a thesis statement? Well, the thesis statement, remember, is the one sentence that says what your entire essay is going to be about. The topic sentence says what that one paragraph is going to be about. And it's very important that you stick to the topic sentence. If you don't stick to the topic sentence, I equate that with breaking your promise. You are basically not sticking to the promise of what you said you're going to talk about. Many students, people that I've come in contact with, say, for example, they've taken these writing proficiency tests. They haven't done very well on them. One of the main problems might be that they did not continue talking about what they were supposed to talk about. They went on a tangent. They broke their promise. I've also heard people say, well, I don't know why I didn't pass the test. I really poured my heart out into the test. My question is, so what? Were you talking about what you said you were going to talk about? I've also heard, I don't know why I failed the test. I wrote so much. I wrote 20 paragraphs. The person reading your test is going to say, oh my God, I don't want to read this. Why are they doing this to me? You might fail for that reason. So stick to the point, stick to your topic, stick to your thesis. That's what people are looking at when they're grading these tests, when they're grading your essays. They don't want you going off on a tangent. They don't want you talking about your generations of family members that have had these experiences. I guarantee you that's a recipe for disaster. Stick to the topic, organize what you're discussing, you will do well. Even if you kind of don't know what you're talking about, the people don't care. As long as you organize what you're discussing, that's all they care about. They only care about you making a point and sticking to it. Let's get back to the 8-sentence paragraph. So you start with the topic sentence. That's number 1. And I want you to use these words. The very next thing is your point number 1. And I want you to use the word first, blah, 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 blah. Let's say, for example, we're talking about pollution. There are many problems with pollution in the city of Los Angeles. That's my topic sentence. First, there is a lot of garbage in the streets. And now after you make whatever point, you explain it. So you have the topic sentence number 1, my first point, sentence number 2, and then I'm going to explain that point in sentence number 3. If there's a lot of garbage in the street, then people do not feel comfortable and it's not a very good way to live. I just explained what I discussed. And the pattern repeats. The very next sentence, sentence number 4, start with the word second. There's a lot of garbage floating in the oceans. Okay, great. Explain that in sentence number 5. If there's a lot of garbage floating in the oceans, then people are not going to want to swim in the waters, and it might even make life for marine animals difficult. All right, we're on sentence number 6. 6, I want you to use the word third. Third, there's a lot of pollution in the air. Explain what you mean in sentence number 7. If there's a lot of pollution in the air, then it's going to make breathing difficult for people, and this might even exacerbate problems that people have health-wise. Sentence number 7. Sentence number 8 is my concluding statement. My concluding statement is basically me wrapping up what I've been discussing in a meaningful way. There's so much pollution in this city. If we don't do something about it, then it's going to make living here even more difficult. The thing that I never want you to do in your last sentence, sentence number 8, your concluding sentence, don't do what they do in elementary school. Don't say, these are all the reasons why pollution in Los Angeles is bad. Don't do that. That's elementary school. Of course, you've been told to kind of restate what you just discussed, but don't do it in a way that makes the person reading it feel like an idiot. These are all the reasons why Abraham Lincoln was a good president. Boring. This is your chance to say something meaningful. If we don't do something about pollution in our city, then what are we doing? You know, this is your chance to have an impact, not to bore us with things we've already heard. 8-sentence paragraph. Master the pattern, and then you have 3 paragraphs that should be easy for you. Now the conclusion. Now, the conclusion is just as important as the introduction. The conclusion, I tell my students, is your chance to say the biggest thing that you want to say about whatever you've been discussing. It's the last thing that people read, so it should be the most important thing that you write. I was talking about pollution as an example. And by the way, whatever you're discussing, make sure you're having the best final word that you can. Overall, in our world, there are a number of different problems that make life difficult. There are people that struggle financially. There are people that struggle with their relationships. There are people that struggle with education. But there's one thing that we can all work on making better, and that's the problem of pollution. If we all come together, we pitch in, we recycle, we throw away trash, we drive more green vehicles, this will make life living here a little bit better. This will make our world a better place. And if we are not doing everything we can to make this world a better place, we have no business living here at all. Do you feel that? That's my conclusion. That's what I want people to walk away with. I want to have a big impact on whoever is reading my essay. And if you have a big impact, you've organized all your ideas, guarantee you're going to pass that essay. You're going to pass that assignment. Of course, there's other things you have to worry about, like, making sure your grammar, spelling, and all that stuff, punctuation, making sure you take a good look at that. But overall, if you practice the things that I've discussed, there's no need to fear about writing. Writing should not be something that keeps you up at night. You practice, and that will make you perfect. This is Mr. Black. Thank you for watching.